Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this adorable onesie using your Cricut machine and Cricut's Infusible Ink along with their Sport Flex iron-on. The watercolor effect with the gold iron-on is just such a beautiful effect, and I love the way that this turned out. I'm just thinking of all the different possibilities of shirts and things that I can make using this combination. To make the onesie, you're going to need a onesie. We're using Infusible Ink, so make sure that you have one either from Cricut that is compatible with Infusible Ink or one that is using a fabric that is compatible with Infusible Ink. I'm also going to be using Cricut's Sport Flex iron-on, which says it's best for nylon and polyester, and the onesie that we have here is polyester, so I think it will work out really well on this stretchy onesie material. You'll also need your Cricut. I'm using my Cricut Maker, and I'm also using a Cricut heat press, but you can use an iron if that's what you've got. I'll leave a link to all of the supplies used in the description below. So for the design, go ahead and log into Cricut Design Space, and the images that I'm using are free with Cricut Access, or you can buy them separately. For the background, search for Wallflower Wild. And I used this image here with some modifications. So what you'll do to get it to look like this blue background here, click on it and click contour. And then we're gonna take out all of the things except for this background right here. So to do that, you just click on each part and it will kind of gray it out. It'll gray out each of the pieces that you don't want. So again, just all but this first one right here should be grayed out. And then go ahead and X out of that, and then you'll be left with this shape. Obviously we don't want this part of the wall to show, so I'm gonna get a square, unlock that, make it the size that it will fit over the words without covering up other parts of the design that I want. Select both by clicking and dragging, and then select weld, and that should get rid of it. And then I have this one as a different dimensions. So we're gonna go up here, unlock the aspect ratio, make the width, what was it, 6.003. And then the height 3.711. So right here we'll change the height 3.711. I am going to get rid of a little bit more of this by adding another smaller square, just so that that isn't as noticeable. Click and select both and then push weld. Okay, and then you can change the color. It doesn't really matter because we're cutting it out of the Infusible Ink, but there you go, you have our basic shape. Now for the words here, go ahead and go to the images again and search for Wild Flower, 2 words, and badge. And you'll see right here the wildflower with the little bee. We're gonna insert that image and then resize it 4.087 without unlocking that. And then that will give us the right size. Kind of center it on there and change the color. Now obviously if you are making a onesie, this would be a good size. If it's a smaller onesie, you might want to make it a little bit smaller, or if you're making it on a bigger shirt, you might want to make it bigger. So this is just for the onesie that I made. I believe it was like a 9-month onesie or 12-month. Once you are ready with your design, make sure your machine is turned on and then click Make It. So that will break it up into 2 different cuts, one for the iron-on and one for the Infusible Ink. Go ahead and mirror both of those. So click on each one and click the mirror button. Very important. Click Continue. Click over here, Browse All Materials. I'm going to search for the word Sport for the Sport Flex iron-on. Click Done. Make sure that your fine point regular blade is loaded, and then you can go ahead and send that off to cut. Place the iron on your mat with the clear side down, and if you're not sure which side is the clear side, you can peel up just a tiny bit of the corner. I know it's hard to see on this shiny gold vinyl. Make sure to mirror your image and load it into the machine. And then go ahead and push the button to cut. Load that, get it off your mat. For the infusible ink, go over here, go to Browse Materials, search Infusible, and it's going to be an infusible ink transfer sheet. Click that, select Done, make sure that it's the fine point blade still, and load that up in the machine to cut. For the infusible ink, I'm going to be using this darkest blue color here. Make sure to keep your bags so that you can store them, and make sure that you don't get any of them wet. They do show up lighter in here than they do after you iron them on, so make sure you grab the right one. And then you can grab one of the parchment pieces of paper for later. Put the infusible ink on your mat with the color side up and press it down. Make sure your design again is mirrored. Load it up and cut. Unload that off your mat. And then just to make things easier, grab a pair of scissors and cut around the part that you used. And then you can put the rest away to save for another project. For the infusible ink, make sure your paper doesn't start to split when you are weeding. You want to make sure to get all of the paper off, which can be a little bit tricky. But once you get it, it should make this nice popping sound, and then you know you're doing it right. And then for the iron-on, lift up a corner, and then we're peeling away from this clear backing as well. And then make sure to get all of those little inside pieces. And then when you're done, you should be able to turn it over and see what your design looks like. Okay, now it's time to put our designs on the onesie. Go ahead and turn on your Easy Press and heat it to 385 degrees. Next, you'll want to open up the bottom of the onesie and take a piece of cardstock and put it inside, just to prevent any of the ink from bleeding through. Grab a lint roller, or you can even just use like some packing tape or something, and run that over the onesie just to make sure there's no extra little pieces of lint, so we get a clean transfer. Next, grab the piece of paper that came with your infusible ink, put it over the onesie, and then heat up the fabric for about 15 seconds. Place the infusible ink onto your onesie, and I'm using this special heat resistant tape from Cricut. It's not 100% necessary, but definitely comes in handy for keeping this curly piece of infusible ink paper down in place. Once you're happy with where that is placed, take your piece of paper again over the top of the onesie and over the top of your design. Make sure that it's covering everywhere that the heat press will be, and place it on top for 40 seconds with light pressure. Remove the heat press, take off the paper, allow that to cool just a little bit. You want to do a warm peel, but you also don't want it to be so hot that you can't touch it. So once that is cool enough to touch but still warm, slowly peel off the tape and the transfer. You should have a nice design there. That looks really pretty. Allow that to cool, and then we'll move on to the next step. Put the iron on where you want it on the shirt, then cover with the paper again. This time we're doing the Easy Press at 305 degrees for 30 seconds. So place that on top with light pressure 30 seconds. Remove the heat press. And then we're gonna flip it over and iron the back, but I'm not sure how this ink is going to behave on my mat here. So I'm gonna put this down just to protect it, just in case. Flip over the onesie, and then the back we're gonna do for 15 seconds. Once that's done, you can turn it back over and allow that to cool. Once that's completely cool, go ahead and very slowly peel off the backing. And there you go, you've got a super cute onesie. I really love the combination of the Infusible ink and the Sport Flex iron-on, especially this gold color. I think it makes a really good combo. So there we go, super fun and easy project to make for a baby shower gift. You could even do some custom wording on there, something that means something to the recipient or to your own baby. I really enjoyed using these Infusible ink sheets. The watercolor ones especially, I think, are my favorite. Make sure to give me a thumbs up if you liked this project, and head over to my blog, cutesy crafts.com, for more fun craft ideas.